Welcome to Esoteric Yoga. My name is Catherine Raz, and I am your esoteric woman. So I would like to actually tell you a little bit about esoteric yoga. So unfortunately, this world is definitely suffering a very, very nasty case of brain rot, where our minds are running over time. We're going too quickly. We're not stopping to contemplate things anymore. We're taking a lot of things at face value, and this is how things can be presented in a distorted manner and then replicated as a distortion that is largely widely accepted as factual, true, complete information, when it could be a fragment of the information that is needed to understand something. And this is where all esotericism actually comes in. All esotericism, everything from esoteric language to esoteric concepts to esoteric practices, esoteric art forms, it just goes on and on and on. So to think of what yoga actually means could be a start. Knowing the meaning of the word yoga is step one for beginning to think esoterically. You must think esoterically and therefore non-dogmatically if you would like to actually consider yourself as a true esotericist. So yoga means union, which is suggested through the etymological meaning of it coming from the term yuj, which means yoke, as in an ox to a cart, to yoke. So to join is essentially what yoga is about. And what are you joining? For one thing, you could be joining your thoughts to cohesion with reality. You could be joining your breath with your movement. You could be joining your body with your mind. But the thing is these things are already joined. So we must think in deeper terms in order to fully understand something. Yoga is not defined as asanas. And what are asanas? Asanas are the physical postures that we put our body through, the stretching, sitting up straight. Sitting in general is considered an asana because asana literally translates to seat or posture. So when it comes to Sanskrit translation, it doesn't so easily directly translate from the Sanskrit word into a single English word. Often these single Sanskrit words contain multifold meanings, each syllable containing a different meaning. So you can contemplate on words in Sanskrit and go into a very deep and very poetic, very spiritual place. You can be transported through just contemplating on a single word in Sanskrit. You can be completely removed from your mundane mentality by contemplating on mantras. So a mantra is contemplated. A mantra is completely mental. Mantras are repetitive phrases, words, divine names, syllables, a vibration. Also, a movement could be considered a bit of a somatic form of mantra. Mantram is the vibrated or pronounced mantra. So when we say mantra with that which actually suggests a vibration, that is what it is. It is using your voice to make a mantra, like Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya. So you're repeating over and over again. And this is a very benign, very helpful way of cleansing your mind, not necessarily brainwashing. You could call it that if you want, but it's a very constructive idea of brainwashing. So to take things a little bit further, so repetitive anything is going to affect you neurologically. If you are experiencing repetitive lyrics in a song, it's going to affect the way that you think. That song may become stuck in your head. If you hear repeated stories that are not even true, you will begin to believe that that is the truth. If you repeatedly hear that yoga has to do with getting on a mat and getting into stretch pants or being in a studio with a person who has trained for 200 hours to teach you how to move in certain ways and breathe in certain ways, you will believe that is what yoga is about. Unfortunately, you will be wrong. I have a Substack I just started about a month ago, and on there I just shared some CIA papers from the Reading Room website. So you can go to the CIA Reading Room and you can read things that come from the Freedom of Information Act. It's very interesting, some of the things that you can read from there. And if you look up yoga in the CIA Reading Room, you're going to find the elite practices of yoga that are not shared with the public, things that actually help us to attain powers. Because we already essentially are power beings, and we've been convinced for a very long time that we need to perform magical rites and rituals in order to attain power, when actually we need to discipline ourselves in order to attain power, and then the magical rites and rituals will be stronger. So this is why yoga is actually an essential part of magical practices and rituals and rites. So one of the ways that I introduce people to yoga in a different way to bring them directly into the final stage of the Eightfold Path of yoga, as yoga has 8 angas or limbs to it. The first 3 parts of yoga have to do with how you govern over yourself, everything from your thoughts, your actions, your attitudes, and your movements and your breaths in your body. And then after that, we have the focuses of the mind and the direction of our consciousness. And then we have states that start to come in. So the final 2 stages of yoga, the 7th stage of yoga is called dhyana, which is meditative absorption. So we can do a lot of things to get into dhyana. And one of the things I have been teaching for several years is a dancing practice that will get you directly into that meditative absorption state of dhyana. So you can move your body like a mantra. Just pick a movement and do it repeatedly. So for the dancing practice, we start with shaking. We shake our entire body. I'm not going to show you all the little warm-ups we do before that, but I'm mostly going to show you that we start with moving our knees. We bounce through our knees like this, and just start with bouncing on your knees, and then let it go into your shoulders. So focusing on your knees and your shoulders, and allowing your arms to go floppy. Find a nice rhythmic track to listen to, something that's really fun for you, something that's intense and has a driving rhythm. And then you can just close your eyes. If you can loop it for 15 minutes, or you can string together 15 minutes worth of songs at the same BPM, you can find a really nice ecstatic trance state from just bouncing this way. It's going to clear your mind, and it will help you get into dhyana, or that meditative absorption state. From the meditative absorption state, you can experience samadhi, which is actually very much related to nirvana, and some people will say that it is nirvana. So this is just the tip of the iceberg in regard to esoteric yoga, and these practices will move your energetic life force and consciousness through your body. It will move the chi, the essential life essence energy, and it will actually make you feel free of anxiety It will help your mental focus, and it will make you into a stronger and happier person. And this is what yoga is very, very useful for. So I hope that you enjoyed this little introduction to esoteric yoga, and I do hope that you follow me and you subscribe and listen to any other subsequent videos, recordings, or read some of my writings. You can go to my Substack at substack.com/fat cat stacks with a K. Or you can also look up the Naked Emperor, because that's what I call it. So thank you, and I hope that this was interesting to you.